Manner.
Manner.
Mannequin.
Mannequin.
Manner.
Manner.
It seemed rather an odd manner of deciding things.
He felt some guilt over the manner of her death.
I had hoped she would behave in a more responsible manner. I had hoped she would behave in a more responsible manner.
The issue will be resolved in a manner that is fair to both sides.
Criticism of the manner in which the bishop was appointed. Criticism of the manner in which the bishop was appointed.
The matter should be submitted to the Accounts Committee in the usual manner. The matter should be submitted to the Accounts Committee in the usual manner.
She has a calm, relaxed manner.
Something in Beth's manner towards him had changed.
Sophie resented his high-handed manner.
Her children all had such good manners.
It's bad manners to talk with your mouth full.
His manners were impeccable.
Dad gave us a lecture about our table manners. You mind your manners, young man.
Leslie just got up and left. Some people have no manners.
Good heavens, child, where are your manners?
A book about the life and manners of Victorian London.
Are you his girlfriend? Nicola asked. In a manner of speaking.
We will discuss all manner of subjects.
The British Isles have been conquered by all manner of people. A painting in the manner of the early Impressionists.
What manner of son would treat his mother in such a way? What manner of son would treat his mother in such a way?
I haven't lost my interest in politics by any manner of means.
Mannered.
Mannered.
He is the most well-mannered, well-behaved boy I know.
Hickstone gave a very mannered performance in the lead role.
Mannerism.
Mannerism.
He has the same mannerisms as his father.
Mannequin.
Mannequin.
Mannish.
Mannish.
She had strong, almost mannish features.
A mannish jacket.
Mano a mano.
Mano a mano.
He finally faced up to his father mano a mano, telling him he was going to leave college.
Maneuverable.
Maneuverable.
A ship which was surprisingly fast and maneuverable. Maneuver.
Maneuver.
A careful driver will often stop talking before carrying out a complex maneuver.
They tried by diplomatic maneuvers to obtain an agreement.
Large-scale military maneuvers are being carried out near the border.
Troops on night maneuvers. As I see it, Lisa, you don't really have a great deal of room for maneuver. As I see it, Lisa, you don't really have a great deal of room for maneuver.
She managed to maneuver expertly into the parking space. Josh maneuvered himself out of bed and hobbled to the door. We maneuvered the TV in front of the sofa.
It was a well-organized plan to maneuver Company President John Woolford out of office. It was a well-organized plan to maneuver Company President John Woolford out of office. It was a well-organized plan to maneuver Company President John Woolford out of office.
Businesses maneuvered to have their industry organized to their own advantage. Businesses maneuvered to have their industry organized to their own advantage.
Maneuvering.
Maneuvering.
Diplomatic maneuverings.
Months of political maneuvering.
Man of letters.
Man of letters.
Man of war.
Man of war.
Manner.
Manner.
Manorial.
Manorial.
A study based on manorial records.
Manpower.
Manpower.
Trained manpower.
A scheme to increase police manpower.
Monkey.
Monkey.
Mansard.
Mansard.
Manscaping.
Manscaping.
Manse.
Manse.
Manservant.
Manservant.
Manship.
Manship.
Seamanship.
Statesmanship.
Mansion.
Mansion.
A beautiful country mansion.
19 Carlisle mansions.
Man-sized.
Man-sized.
A man-sized breakfast.
Man-sized tissues.
Man-sized plants.
Manslaughter.
Manslaughter.
She was cleared of murder, but found guilty of manslaughter.
Mantelpiece.
Mantelpiece.
The clock on the mantelpiece struck 10.
Mantis.
Mantis.
Mantle.
Mantle.
It is up to Europe to take on the mantle of leadership in environmental issues. It is up to Europe to take on the mantle of leadership in environmental issues.
A mantle of snow lay on the trees.
Man to man.
Man to man.
You two need to discuss this man to man.
Mantra.
Mantra.
He closed his eyes and began to recite a Buddhist mantra.
The Treasury Secretary has stuck to his mantra that a strong dollar is in America's interest.
Manual.
Manual.
Low-paid manual jobs.
People in manual occupations have a lower life expectancy.
A manual typewriter.
A 5-speed manual gearbox. It would take too long to do a manual search of all the data.
No great manual dexterity is required to perform the technique.
Consult the computer manual if you have a problem.
A user manual.
Manufacture.
Manufacture.
The company that manufactured the drug.
Manufactured goods.
If the media can manufacture stories like this, who are we supposed to believe?
Cost will determine the methods of manufacture.
Manufacturer.
Manufacturer.
Read the manufacturer's instructions before using your new dishwasher.
The fridge was sent back to the manufacturers.
Manufacturing.
Manufacturing.
Thousands of jobs have been lost in manufacturing.
The manufacturing industry.
Manure.
Manure.
Manuscript.
Manuscript.
I read his novel in manuscript. Unfortunately, parts of the original manuscript have been lost.
A fine collection of medieval manuscripts.
Manx.
Manx. The Manx government.
Manx cat.
Manx cat.
Many.
Many.
Many people have to use a car to travel to work.
I don't have many friends.
She has lived in Spain for many years.
Do you get many visitors?
Some of the houses have bathrooms, but many do not. His third novel is regarded by many as his best. His third novel is regarded by many as his best. Many of our staff work part-time.
There are plenty of bars, many of them serving excellent food.
There are so many things we disagree about.
Not many people can afford my services.
You've been reading too many romantic novels.
One job loss is one too many. We should like to thank the many people who have written to us offering their support. We should like to thank the many people who have written to us offering their support. We should like to thank the many people who have written to us offering their support. Military equipment worth many millions of dollars.
Most of the young men went off to the war, and a great many never came back.
It all happened a good many years ago.
How many sisters do you have? I didn't know how many tickets to buy.
They say the people of Los Angeles speak 12 languages and teach just as many in the schools.
Grandfather claimed to have as many medals as the general.
There weren't as many people at the meeting as we had hoped. A great trip. We visited 5 countries in as many days.
The company now employs 4 times as many women as men. The company now employs 4 times as many women as men.
As many as 10,000 civilians are thought to have fled the area. As many as 10,000 civilians are thought to have fled the area. Many a parent has had to go through this same painful process. Many a parent has had to go through this same painful process.
I've sat here many a time and wondered what happened to her.
Many's the time we've had to borrow money in order to get through the month. Don't pay any attention to him. He's had one too many.
Many thanks for your letter of 17th March.
This war is another example of the few sacrificing their lives for the many.
Man-year.
Man-year.
The project will take 5 man-years to complete.
Many-sided.
Many-sided.
A complex, many-sided personality.
Maori.
Maori.
Maori children.
Map. Map.
A map of Mexico City.
According to the map, we should turn left.
I'm just trying to find Vancouver on the map.
An archaeological map of the area.
The colour weather map in the newspaper.
It was the Olympic Games that really put Seoul on the map.
It's a small place in Nebraska, right off the map.
He spent the next 15 years mapping the Isle of Anglesey.
The points at which stress and anxiety emerge can be mapped. The points at which stress and anxiety emerge can be mapped.
Her own future had been mapped out for her by wealthy and adoring parents.
Maple.
Maple.
Maple syrup.
Maple syrup.
Map reading.
Map reading.
Mar.
Mar.
Their wedding was marred by the death of Jenny's mother a week earlier. Their wedding was marred by the death of Jenny's mother a week earlier.
A frown marred his handsome features.
Marabou.
Marabou.
Maracas.
Maracas.
Maraschino.
Maraschino.
Maraschino cherry.
Maraschino cherry.
Marathon.
Marathon.
The Boston Marathon.
Garcia ran the marathon in just under 3 hours.
We finished the job, but it was quite a marathon. A marathon round of negotiations.
Marathoner.
Marauding.
Marauding.
Marauding street gangs.
Marble.
Marble.
The columns were of white marble.
A marble statue.
March.
March.
She started work here last March.
The theatre opened in March 2001.
There's a meeting on March 6th.
I wrote to my bank on the 6th of March.
The hospital is scheduled to open March 6th.
On August 29th, the Royal Army marched into Inverness.
We marched 50 kilometres across the foothills.
He gathered his troops and prepared to march on the capital.
An estimated 5,000 people marched through the city to demonstrate against the factory closures.
Outraged citizens marched on City Hall, demanding the police chief's resignation.
Brett marched out of the office, slamming the door behind him. Mr. Carter marched us to the principal's office.
The police decided not to ban the march.
I went on a lot of peace marches when I was a student.
The general led his forces on a long march southwards.
Fascism is on the march again in some parts of Europe.
Lake Van was still 3 days' march away. Lake Van was still 3 days' march away.
You can't control the march of science.
She was desperate to halt the march of time upon her face and figure. She was desperate to halt the march of time upon her face and figure.
Military marches.
A funeral march.
Marcher.
Marcher.
Civil rights marches.
Marching band.
Marching band.
The Marchioness.
The Marchioness.
March past.
March past.
300 war veterans took part in the parade and march past. 300 war veterans took part in the parade and march past.
Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras.
Mare.
Mare.
The Arsenal goalkeeper had a mare in the first half.
Margarine.
Margarine.
Margarita.
Margarita.
Marge.
Marge.
Margin.
Margin.
Someone has scribbled a note in the margin.
Use double spacing and wide margins to leave room for comments.
They're a world-class team, and it was no surprise that they won by such a wide margin. They're a world-class team, and it was no surprise that they won by such a wide margin.
The bill was approved by a margin of 55 votes.
Margins are low and many companies are struggling. Margins are low and many companies are struggling.
Within 10 years, they had a gross profit margin of 50%.
It'll take about 30 minutes to dry, but I'd allow a safety margin of, say, another 10 minutes.
The survey has a margin of error of 2.1%.
It'll take about 30 minutes to dry, but I'd allow a safety margin of, say, another 10 minutes.
The survey has a margin of error of 2.1%.
At this late stage in the competition, there is no margin for error.
The western margin of southern Africa.
Unemployed youths living on the margins of society.
Marginal.
Marginal.
A marginal increase in the unemployment figures. A marginal increase in the unemployment figures.
A marginal improvement in profits.
Marginal revenue.
The album contains too many songs by marginal bands.
Marginal notes.
Marginalize.
Marginalize.
Female employees complained of being marginalized by management.
Marginally.
Marginally.
Gina's grades have improved marginally since last term.
The new system is only marginally more efficient than the old one.
Mariachi.
Mariachi.
The Marie Celeste. The Marie Celeste.
Marie Celeste.
Marigold.
Marigold.
Marijuana.
Marijuana.
Marimba.
Marimba.
Marina.
Marina.
Marinade.
Marinade.
Marinate.
Marinate.
Fish marinated in olive oil, garlic and vinegar.
Marine.
Marine.
The enormous variety of marine life. The effects of oil pollution on marine mammals.
Marine biology.
Marine Corps.
Marine Corps.
Mariner.
Mariner.
Marionette.
Marionette.
Marital.
Marital.
Marital problems.
The increase in marital breakdown.
Marital status.
Marital status.
Marital status. Married, single, divorced.
They asked questions about the age, sex, and marital status of all the people in the house.
Maritime.
Maritime.
San Francisco has lost nearly all of its maritime industry. The Canadian Maritime Provinces.
Marjoram.
Marjoram.
Mark.
Mark.
I've marked the pages you need to look at.
When you're done, put your sheet in the envelope marked with your name.
Peter marked his name on the first page.
A document marked confidential.
Any student who is more than 20 minutes late for class will be marked absent.
All school uniforms should be clearly marked with the child's name.
Take off your shoes so you don't mark the floor.
The disease had marked her face for life.
The table marks easily, so please be careful.
Celebrations to mark Australia Day. Carter's 90th birthday will be marked with a large party at the Savoy Hotel. Mrs. Lawson was presented with a gold watch to mark the occasion. Mrs. Lawson was presented with a gold watch to mark the occasion.
A simple wooden cross marked her grave.
He had marked the route on the map in red. He had marked the route on the map in red. He had marked the route on the map in red.
Troop positions were marked with coloured pins.
She placed a bookmark between the pages to mark her place.
This week marks the 250th anniversary of the birth of Joseph Priestley.
Her latest novel marks a turning point in her development as a writer.
The move seemed to mark a major change in government policy.
These elections mark the end of an era.
The villages of East Anglia are marked by beautiful churches with fine towers. I've got a pile of exam papers to mark.
I was just marking time until a better job came up. I was just marking time until a better job came up.
They're going to regret firing me, you mark my words. They're going to regret firing me, you mark my words.
Her uncle's just given her a car. Given, mark you, not lent.
Mark down everything you eat on your daily chart.
The teacher marked him down as absent.
Winter coats have been marked down from $80 to $50. Winter coats have been marked down from $80 to $50.
Students will be marked down for failing to follow directions. When I first saw Gilbert play, I marked him down as a future England player.
The competitor's arena had been marked off with cones.
Mark off each of the names on the list as I call them out. Sarah's natural flair for languages marked her off from the other students. Sarah's natural flair for languages marked her off from the other students.
A volleyball court had been marked out on the grass.
His stunning victory marked him out as the very best horse of his era. She seemed marked out for success.
Compact discs may be marked up as much as 80%.
I have to mark up the pages and send them back to the printer.
I can't get these marks out of my t-shirt.
His feet left dirty marks all over the floor.
The skid marks were over 30 feet long.
A burn mark on the kitchen table.
There were scratch marks all over the victim's body. The kitten is mainly white, with black marks on her back.
What do those strange marks at the top mean?
Make a mark at the bottom of the page.
The temperature is not expected to reach the 20-degree mark in the next few days.
In 1976, unemployment in Britain passed the 1 million mark. The highest mark was a B+. Her marks have been a lot lower this term. She always gets good marks. The pass mark was 75%. I have to give you top marks for determination.
Parents gave the kit high marks.
His low marks as transportation chief.
It took him only 2 games to make his mark. He made his mark as a pianist in the 1920s. He has left his mark on baseball history.
Singers like Franklin and Redding helped gospel music make its mark on popular culture. Singers like Franklin and Redding helped gospel music make its mark on popular culture.
Growing up during the war had left its mark on her.
Our cost estimate was way off the mark.
His next guess was closer to the mark.
The ability to perform well under pressure is the mark of a true champion.
Plaque awarded to Grant is a mark of recognition for his years of service. Plaque awarded to Grant is a mark of recognition for his years of service. There was a 2-minute silence as a mark of respect for the dead.
An old Mark II Ford Cortina. Cook for 40 minutes at gas mark 6.
Although it contains a certain amount of truth, this theory ultimately misses the mark. You'll have to be quick off the mark if you want to find a job around here.
Her work just isn't up to the mark. I'm not feeling quite up to the mark today.
His face bore the marks of many missions.
His speech bore all the marks of his military background. His speech bore all the marks of his military background.
Mark down.
Mark down.
A markdown of 15%.
Marked.
Marked.
A marked lack of enthusiasm.
The patient showed a marked improvement in her condition after changing medication. The patient showed a marked improvement in her condition after changing medication.
Miller's organised desk stood in marked contrast to the rest of the office. Miller's organised desk stood in marked contrast to the rest of the office.
Markedly.
Markedly.
Johnson and Rivera have markedly different leadership styles.
Trade has increased markedly.
Marker.
Marker.
He buried the bodies in a single grave, with a wooden cross as a marker.
Antibodies which are a marker of hepatitis. Antibodies which are a marker of hepatitis.
The use of slang as a marker of social identity.
Marker pen.
Marker pen.
Market.
Market.
I usually buy all my vegetables at the market. There's a good antiques market here on Sundays.
Most analysts are forecasting a further downturn in the market.
As soon as she graduated from college, she started to play the market. The markets are better prepared for a weakening economy than they were 10 years ago.
Honda is trying to increase its market share.
The state-of-the-art market.
Investors in the property market are worried about rising inflation.
The world market in aluminum.
The President believes prices should be determined by the market, not the government.
The manufacturers say the device will be on the market by May.
Handguns are freely available on the open market.
They knew it wasn't a good time to sell their house, but they still put it on the market.
A revolutionary new drug that has just come onto the market.
Our main overseas market is Japan.
The domestic market makes up about 75% of their sales.
The world's largest market for illegal drugs is the US.
The market for specialist academic books is pretty small.
Is there a market for his invention?
This is a bad time to be in the market for a new car. The job market has been badly hit by the recession.
I'll look for a house next year, when it's more of a buyer's market.
If you could ever figure out how to market this, you'd make a fortune.
They plan to market the toy for children aged 2 to 6.
Electric cars are being marketed as safe for the environment.
The turkeys are marketed ready to cook. The turkeys are marketed ready to cook.
Marketable.
Marketable.
The program is designed to provide students with real marketable skills.